Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode of Throwback Thursday, I will be reviewing Collective Soul's Home live with the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra concert DVD. It comes in this thick plastic super jewel box case, which feels very substantial compared to the thin plastic cardboard cases most DVDs and Blu-rays come in. A 28-page color booklet is also included and features several photos from the show and the set list and credits. So Collective Soul were one of the standout bands to come out of the post-grunge, radio-friendly rock wave of the 90s, and they're still going strong today. I just saw them in concert a few weeks ago, and they were still incredible. Their sound leans heavily on hook-driven guitar anthems and big orchestrated power ballads, striking a balance that appeals to both hard rock fans and mainstream pop listeners. Now, I wouldn't call myself a diehard fan. I'm not really rushing out to grab every album they drop. At times, their music can feel a bit derivative or inconsistent, but honestly, that's not uncommon in this genre. One thing is for sure, you won't be disappointed picking up a best of or live collection from these guys, because when they are on, they can churn out some of the catchiest rock and pop in the business. Their first live performance video, Music in High Places, was released in 2001 and featured the band performing stripped-down acoustic arrangements of their songs in exotic Moroccan locales. Even in that format, you still got a good sense of just how great these guys must be in a full-on live concert setting. This concert video certainly answered that question in spades. Home was recorded over a two-night stand back in April 2005 in the band's hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, hence the very literal title. These shows were performed with the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra, which looks to be made up of mostly Asian American kids. Turns out that listening to your parents practicing until your fingers bleed and chasing that cello scholarship to Berkeley or Juilliard can actually pay off and make you look pretty damn cool in the process. Meanwhile, I was still practicing to be Ace Frehley in my bedroom at that age. I mean, all kidding aside, these high school kids sounded nearly as polished as some of the professional orchestras I've heard lately. But what really stood out is how well they blended with Collective Soul. That kind of collaboration doesn't always work, but here it absolutely did. And to be fair, an orchestra-backed Collective Soul is a lot easier to pull off than, say, an orchestra-backed heavy metal concert, which we've probably seen a few too many times by this point. Collective Soul's music already leans into layered, almost orchestral textures, even when it's driven by guitars and keyboards. What surprised me the most was how the heavier tracks like Precious Declaration and Jill didn't lose any of their edge. The symphonic arrangements complemented the energy instead of softening it, adding depth without taking away that raw punch. And then you've got the already orchestrated epics like December and The World I Know, which sounded even more majestic with a full-on 100-piece orchestra propelling them. Several acoustic ballads such as Needs, Run, Youth, and Satellite were dug up for this show and had the potential to drag things down a bit. But in this case, the orchestra was given their chance to really shine, often stealing the focus away from Ed Roland strumming away on his acoustic guitar. The band had no problem sharing the spotlight with these talented kids, and no more so than during the hints, allegations, and things left unsaid instrumental Pretty Donna, where a string quartet was positioned at the front of the stage to perform the song while the band took a much-deserved short break. Performance-wise, the band was locked in all night with Ed Roland leading the charge. He's evolved into one of rock's more compelling frontmen, his vocals consistently strong, rich with emotion, and delivered with genuine soul. New lead guitarist Joel Kosche, who came on board just in time for 2004's Youth album, played with a confident touch, adding just enough flair to keep things engaging without overdoing it. He was replaced by Jesse Triplett in 2014, who was still tearing it up when I saw them in concert this year with them. Speaking of youth, the band's then latest release dominated the set list with 6 tracks making the cut. They wasted no time setting the tone, opening the show with the hit Counting the Days, before loading up the back half with 5 more songs from the album. It could have felt like overkill, but instead it gave the night a clear identity and momentum. The standout moment came with a soaring performance of Better Days. By the time the chorus hit, the world's done shaking me down, the entire room was in motion. The crowd, the orchestra, even the conductor were on their feet, clapping, dancing, and shouting along in unison. The band heads backstage to single the end of the set, but the chanting only continues. And when they eventually return for their encore a few minutes later, the chanting picks right back up again, even more enthusiastically. The band seemed genuinely moved by this overwhelming show of appreciation at home. The encore begins with the new ballad at the time, Satellite, which the then single dad, Ed Roland, explains is a song he wrote for his 3-year-old son. It is one of his best ballads. Of course, the final song of the night had to be the surprise smash hit, Shine, from their debut album. If you thought that the original album cut of this song sounded a little thin like myself, then hold on to them cocktails when you hear this ripping version. With the string section matching every power chord radiating from Kosche and Dean Roland's guitars, and Brother Ed singing his friggin' heart out, this version simply crushed the original. It was an incredible end to an incredible show. One of the coolest moments in the performance, though, comes about halfway through the song, when Ed Roland dramatically removes his electric guitar and literally hurls it about 30 feet through the air at his terrified-looking roadie standing on the side of the stage. Of course, his hero miraculously snags it right out of the air, making it look like he does it every night. As much as I praise the performance on this DVD, the production quality deserves equal praise. Quite simply, it has some of the finest overall production quality for a rock concert DVD that I've seen to this date. Although not in HD, the widescreen video presentation certainly looks like it and easily handles the intensely bright and colorful stage show. The Dolby Digital 5.1 surround track sounds exceptional, seamlessly blending the band and orchestra into a cohesive whole. It makes impressive use of the surround speakers to create a rich, immersive soundscape that places you right in the center of the theater. A higher bitrate LPCM stereo option is also included and sounds equally impressive. The camera work was nearly perfect, providing every possible angle, but never jumping around too quickly. You get a wonderful sense of being there. The extra features were substantial, including plenty of behind-the-scenes footage, the making of the Better Now video, Ed Roland singing Georgia Girl in his dressing room while playing acoustic guitar, and a short documentary called Home. The set list shown here featured 20 songs, and the concert runtime is 96 minutes. As for my ratings of this concert Blu-ray, my overall production rating is a 10 out of 10. And my overall performance rating is also a 10 out of 10, one of my favorite concert DVDs. I can only imagine how incredible it was to be at this hometown Atlanta concert and to actually feel the energy of this performance. Unfortunately, the band still hasn't officially released any of their standard concert performances on Blu-ray, and I'm hoping this gets rectified soon with something from their latest tour, especially after the awesome show I recently attended. All right, that's it for me today. Let me know your thoughts on Collective Soul Home in the comments, and please don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Thanks, and catch you next time.